Okay, just waiting notification. I can't wait to read it. All right, here we go. Boom. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us. This is his second time being with us, but not only is he a brilliant young man, but he is also an author. So we want to start talking with Mr. Kellen Parham. First of all, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, especially after those extraordinary words you just put out
Yeah,
on
I mean, yeah.
us.
Listen, I mean every word of it, man. You inspired. Your last interview inspired us, and now we look forward to hearing, getting some information as well as some inspiration from you with your
Right.
new book. So, what is the title of your new book?
The title of my new book is A Lovers Truce.
Okay.
Um, so you kind of want to know, like, I could tell you like how I came up with the title, but it's kind of like a long journey. If you want
Okay.
to,
Let's
kind of.
let's get into it.
All right. So I've always been a poet, maybe for roughly about 20 years now, ever since like undergrad. Poetry, like I kind of mentioned maybe in the last interview, it was like my outlet.
Okay. Okay.
And then, I had to tell you, I had to sit it to the side so I can focus more on, what I'm gonna be in my like with my career wise. So long story short, um, like I got married immediately after grad school, and we ended up having a child not too long after that. So it's like been like my whole life has been on go, like nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. And so it's like my kids and my wife and family, what I'm saying, were always like priority number one. And so I really didn't necessarily do necessary things for myself along the way, which I really didn't think about it. It's like all those time like 10 years just passed so fast. And it was just like last year my brother-in-law passed away, and he was only like a year older than me. And it really like it was like one of those moments that was like it was like the match that was lit on a fuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me do a lot of like, through the grieving, it just made me do a lot of self-reflection. And I would like, so I went to like a trip to Dallas to visit like my friends because they was hanging out. And it was just like for me, it wasn't necessarily for me to go to party. It was just me to like clear my head, just kind of like try to experience some joy.
Yes, sir.
And it was like one of those events and meeting new people, just hanging out with people. And I just started thinking a little deeper into my life, whatever. And so in order for me to get a lot of these thoughts out, I finished a poem that I had started several years ago, and that kind of inspired me to keep going and just to write kind of like all these different thoughts I had in my head. It wasn't even like all of these thoughts that's in this current book. It was like it was personal thoughts, like just about on like how I used to be as when I was younger, growing up in college, the different adversities that I was going through, the happy good things that I was going through. But it was all like a mosh pit of thoughts just floating around. And it was kind of overwhelming. And the only way that I can actually grasp these thoughts was I had to write them down. I had to put them, put this energy into something that I could take my mind and, it could carry me into something in a positive direction. And so I just started off, with one poem, and I was like, oh wow, that poem kind of turned out good. And then it just kept going, and I just kept going, just to see how much I could keep going, because I always wanted to get back to writing. And then eventually, I started writing so much, I started looking at it, and I was like, I wonder if I could somehow put all these together, like categorize them into like maybe chapters. And so I ended up, I called it my project at the time, and the project just like ballooned. Like I had all the categories lined up, the chapters lined up, and then it was like, wow, I have like 200 pages or something, just like in that document. And I was like, man, this is a lot. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm just gonna publish this. And I didn't have any, I didn't have any goals to. My idea wasn't to publish and sell to anybody. It was just for me personally. Part of I needed to do something for myself. And so this project was an adventure for me to do for myself. Something that I could fully engage in, and be totally free. Because it's like when I write, it's almost as if I create a bubble around myself, and everything within that bubble I can control. I can control what comes in. I can control what goes out. Like it's Like I also have this thing against authority figures and authority, because I don't necessarily like people telling me what to do and not having that control of what I can do when I want to do it. So it's like writing for me gave me that freedom. And so so I also had a lot of thoughts where, you have sometimes you may be sitting in your room alone, just thinking about your day or just thinking about some things that you feeling. And it's like some things you feel, you might feel ashamed about it. And it's like you may be wanting to tell somebody something, but either you're scared to based on how they might respond, or you might be scared to based on like maybe this person will never talk to me again, or maybe it's like I really think this person would like this, but I'm kind of don't know how to present the idea to them. Sometimes you never have that type of just those random thoughts. So it's like you end up just keeping it inside and maybe locking it away so nobody else can ever know, or you may hide it from yourself. But I just got to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm tired of fighting these thoughts. I'm tired of sitting here thinking about things and, maybe being ashamed of them or being scared of them. So it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna try to make peace with this the mental war that I'm going through within myself.
Mm.
And um, so that's pretty much how I came up with the title of this book. So this book is pretty much, it's like, I felt like to get the message, I had to put it in a more compacted form.
Okay.
So I broke it off from the overall package. And so it's more of an easier like read where you can actually get the gist of what the concept is. So it's like, these are a group of love poems. So it's almost like they're all categorized as a chain. So each one flows through the chapter with the moods, with the highs and the lows, with the whole infatuation phase, to I like you phase, to I love you phase, to now we having problems phase, to now we either deciding we're gonna break up or stay together phase. So it's all like that emotional roller coaster that I was trying to capture, as I categorized all the poems together. So it's not one poem that has more significance than the other, because each poem is like I visualize it as a movie where each scene is a poem. And so it's like also like an album as well. Like when Adele said, when the album that is packaged, it's meant to be listened in the particular order that they wrote, that is laid out.
Yes,
so it's not something to be shuffled through. It's not a collection of poems. It's literally a story, a love story. And I feel like, we all may have similar feelings that we don't necessarily express. And so I got tired of just fighting those feelings. And I say, you know what, I'm just want to have a truce. And this is going to be my truce. This is going to be the peace treaty. And so therefore I was like, you know what, a lover's truce. All these different things that I was fighting, here it is, packaged up. It's out of my head, it's out of my thoughts. Like I feel a total like relief from a lot of things that I've written. And it's kind of it was like a snowball effect. It was just like one thing at a time, and it all just stacked up. And the more I wrote, the more ideas I had. And even now, to this day, now that it's out, it's like I'm having even more ideas. Like I'm meeting like random strangers. Like I don't normally like just go out and talk to people, but I've met like even this morning, I was walking the dog, and it was a stray dog that got loose. Like I've seen this couple that walks this dog normally, and it was a guy chasing after the dog, trying to catch it. Like he like one of those pit bulls, and he was scared that somebody may, get terrified and call whatever, and then dog get put down or something. So like the dog saw mine, so they instantly start playing. And so like me and the guy, we was walking, we was helping each other. I helped him take the dog to his house, and I just blurted. I was like, "Hey man, do you like poetry?" He was like, I used to read poetry. I English majored in English, but I did publish a kids book. And I was like, "Oh wow, really?" And then I was like, yeah, I just published a book, whatever. And it was just like, when we got back to his house, he was like, yeah, man, I definitely will order one. Like, I brought up the conversation with him about it, showed him like the book and everything. And it was just like that interaction. I realized even further, because I had another, like 3 other not reactions, but interactions yesterday. Pretty much the same thing. Like we just chit-chatting about life. And then I got the courage to just ask them if they like poetry. And it was like, yeah, whatever. And it was like, people just started but they just started supporting me just off of my word, which is crazy because the guy, like, I don't know if I posted on my story, but I was like a week before I actually wanted people to buy the book. I went out to a bar with my friends, and you know how the bathrooms in the club would have like an attendant who is giving you soap and towels and
Yeah,
the knickknacks and stuff. And it was a real cool brother. Like, he started talking to me because of the sneakers I had on, and so that conversation just started talking about him, about him selling shirts and making T-shirts and all this cool stuff. And he wanted to show me like pictures of stuff that he made through his phone. So, he'll hold his phone up and he's scrolling through it, and I could see all the pictures in his gallery. So I'm seeing pictures that he took of books, of passages and stuff. And I'm like, hold on, man, you like to read? He was like, yeah, man, I'm a beast with it, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I was like, man, I'm a poet. And then he just started freestyling. And it was like, man, this dude is so fire. And then so I eventually told him about the book. And it was like, I told him about a book. He instantly took out a wad of cash out of his pocket and gave me $10 and slapped me in the hand. I was like, I was like, man, no, thank you, man. Keep it. He was like, man, nah. And so it was like, I got home, maybe the next day, I had framed that $10 bill. So I still got it on like my bookshelf. And I made sure when I got his copy, like I ordered him a copy and I hand delivered it to him. I had to write him a nice little poem on the inside, something that he'll memory by, and then I signed it. That's like my only signed copy ever so far. But it's just like those moments that I have to try to focus on a lot more, because it is a lot of highs and lows, because sometimes I have like this self-doubt where it's like, now that it's out and people are buying it, do they really like it because they like it, or do they like it because they like me? Like it's like, you're my friend. You're supposed to like necessarily like what I make. So like that's kind of what friends do, essentially, to support each other, like real friends. But it's still like, I don't be knowing sometimes, but just try to focus on those small moments, like those that I feel like really blessed me and encouraged me a lot more. But then I had a friend, she was like, just focus on the why I did what I did. And every poem that I wrote was always for myself. And I didn't share that much. I shared some before, but everything I wrote was for myself. And if it made me feel great. Like after every poem that you read in this book, all those poems at the end of them made me feel good. Like I may have started off bad, with a bad feeling at the beginning, but when I was done and I reread over it, I was like, oh man, this junk is fire. Like, like not to be like on toot my old horn, but it's like, dang, dog, like this is like something that you grind at, and it's like, wow, look at this. I created this. I did that, something that was difficult. So it was also just like to prove to myself that, I can do something as well. And it was just like a huge morale boost, through the whole grieving process. Cause like all that from like September to December, I pretty much wrote like two books worth of poems. And so it's like, but I don't know, man. I feel like I'm just talking too long now. I didn't give you a chance to say anything. My bad.
No, man, you're doing a great job. And first of all, I want to make sure that I can't wait to read the book, but I want to tell you what my sisters Mimi and Naima both said. Mimi says, that's great. As an author, you have to promote your work. God will send you your tribe and customers. Naima says, writing is therapeutic. Mimi says, congratulations on your new book. And then they both said peace. All right, boom, perfect. And thank y'all for watching. Thank everybody who's watching. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Please let us know what city you're from once we post it. All right, Mimi, Kellen never talked to you on the interview. Like he never knew you from reading Trace. It's just for the record. Like it's just like he don't remember the reading days, the good old fashioned days. All right, here we go. And thank everybody who's watching. All right,
Mimi. You said I don't remember Mimi?
Yeah.
I do remember Mimi.
Okay, yeah. Okay, but no. So listen. So I'm going to ask you. So once we get it, when we are looking at this, are we reading it through the eyes of this is how you really felt, like these are how your real feelings about somebody, or is this like hypothetical?
It's a mosh pit, so the basis is always real, so it's always generally a muse out there somewhere. Like so I started off my first chapter. It's titled "Attracted to You," and so this I wrote like a letter pretty much to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, "Dear Kellen, we stuck by you through all of your hype and dreams. Can't say we don't appreciate all of this, but we must admit you are too much, and we were afraid you wouldn't be able to handle it. We all love you. We all want the best for you, but we didn't choose to be your muse. Sincerely, your muses." And I put probably in parentheses because that's just me hypothetically saying like, you know, because it's like, you write in college, I used to write poems to girls or about girls, but they didn't necessarily ask me to. There are people who ask, but it's also people who didn't ask. And then so how comfortable or uncomfortable they are, it's all, my cause. It's something that I caused, I created. So, I was trying to be mindful of the fact that if I did write about somebody, they didn't necessarily ask me to, you know. It's just acknowledging that it's something I may say or have said that may be uncomfortable or may have led you down to a certain thought process, or just having to think about it. You know what I'm saying? That if like it's like an invasion of somebody's personal space. So it's just to acknowledge that. But yeah, so that's like the first chapter. So generally, yes, it is real. Everything is real. I can't really write anything that's fake. But they are some hypotheticals, and there are some, imaginative things like, oh, you may, well, if I may meet somebody for the first time, and it's like, you're trying to date somebody for the first time. And so sometimes you may start thinking like years in advance. You might picture yourself like, oh, y'all dating, now y'all getting married, y'all having kids, or, what we name our children. So it's like some things like that. It's like all hypothetical. You're imagining it. So it's like, I also incorporate some things like that, into the work. And I kind of try to leave some things like open-ended. I feel like if I leave the poem open-ended, it gives the reader the ability to create their own feelings, their own emotions, to put themselves into the work.
Yes, sir.
So
beautiful, man. Okay, now Kelly, where can we get the book from? Because we want to make sure we support.
Get it on Amazon.com. Just you can search A Lovers Truce, and it'll probably be like the third book coming up. I could send you the link in the email if you want me to, and then you can post it with you. But yeah, it's definitely on Amazon. Currently, it's the #1 new release under Black and African American poetry. Yeah, I'm just trying to stay, keep pushing it. I need to make sure I want to climb on that bestsellers list, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But yeah, I really don't have a barometer of success for this book. It's just like the success for me is that it's done. But I don't necessarily feel that that's enough. That I think I just still want more. Once I accomplish one thing, it's like I start getting new ideas. Like, I wonder what I could do next. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to get the book in other people's hands, even if I have to pay for it myself. So that's pretty much why I'm taking it right now. Just, and also just getting to meet new people. It's like, I'm just having fun, honestly. It's just something that I needed to do with my time. My wife was always like, you need to go do something. And it's like, no, now I have something to do. And I enjoy doing it. It's not like work. Just being able to talk about myself. I just went, but nah.
No, that's amazing. Now, when you, I want to make sure everybody who watches this, make sure we all go to Amazon and get A Lovers Truce. Now, when you go, do you go to book readings or poetry sign? Like, do you perform like these poetry? Do you do it live?
I used to perform in undergrad. I haven't performed in ages. I considered doing an open mic. They have an open mic tomorrow. There's also a creative workshop that I'm going to on Thursday, hosted by the poet laureate. I cannot pronounce that word. I don't know why I'm even saying it in an interview. But yeah, she's the poet laureate of San Antonio. So she's hosting that event. So I'm go up there and maybe, learn what they have to say and hopefully maybe network or something. What else I got? Yeah, but most of my writings they're built off songs. So I'm like last time we talked, you was like, what kind of music listen to? I was like, man, I'm all over the place. Like
yes,
literally,
sir, yes, sir.
Literally, I was all over the place because I was listening to new music and trying to discover new feelings and new ways of saying things. and how to tell a story and how to, different things that different artists have that these lyrics have. And it was like, I created like a huge playlist along the way. So, which is also, I call it the soundtrack to Lovers Truce. It's a Lovers Truce soundtrack, which it was a playlist that I created for myself. It's like 52 songs that I would listen to when I wrote certain type of poems, and certain type of poems formed from that. Right. And so I felt like it was good that I would, share it with the reader, give them the opportunity to kind of feel the book as they read it. They could see the mood, like what I was seeing through my eyes and what I was feeling, and kind of set the ambiance.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, but I have the link I seen you. It has all of those in there. It has all the links. It has the link to my Instagram page, to the actual paperback, the ebook edition. So it comes in the paperback and the ebook. The paperback is $8.99. So I try to price it to where it's like, gas is crazy. So I want it to be like, the price of everything is going up. So it's like, what, let me make sure the book is low enough to where it's like, people aren't like, oh man, $10. I ain't paying $10 for that. Like, so I was like, at first it was like $9.99, but I was like, $9.99? No, I don't like that. I like $8. So something was like number 8, we just called me. So I was like,
okay.
And then $3.99 for the ebook. But my personal preference, I love paperback books because I like the way they feel. It feels real nice and silky, and you can smell the pages, especially like a used book. It has that old grandma house smell to it.
Yeah.
I be liking that. But yeah, man, like I could read something to you. Want me to?
Man, go please. But go ahead.
All right. So I read the first one. This was the first poem. That was the first one that was like the catalyst, one of the catalysts for me to keep writing. And so I felt it was on the right that I put it first. It's called Planetary Wonders. Your eyes are two of the most beautiful planets I've ever seen. I wish I could wrap myself within their orbit. Getting closer, gradually gravity grabbing me, your aura, I absorb it. Happily, your smile brightening my space, I see our creator's ambition just from a glance at your face. Your perfection projecting from a billion miles away, even if that's 2 decades I'm willing to wait. The fate of our paths crossing again, on time it all depends. Till then I cruise to the colorful hues of blues, lay back and watch our world spin. Your eyes are two of the most beautiful planets I've ever seen, and it's towards your skies that I dream. So that first line, your eyes are two of the most beautiful planets I've ever seen. I wrote that in like 2017. And I wrote it, and like I was at the time, I didn't have really anywhere to like write my work and save it. So I was writing it in my email draft. I wrote it there and saved it there. And then it's like, after that, hanging out with friends, and that weekend, it was like I got back to their house and I picked it back up and I started writing. I finished the rest of that like that night, and it was just like it was like one of those moments. It was like, I wonder if I could keep writing. Like maybe I'm writing again, because I always wanted to write again. And I always felt like I was like, man, if people ever knew I was writing again, then that means that something is going on in my personal life, because writing was always that therapy. So I was always kind of afraid, like if I ever get back into writing, it's because something bad is going on. But, as life happens, grief occurs, and then it's just like, I start pouring all my thoughts on these pages, and it just, now I'm here, like with a book that people actually support, which was kind of wild, because it's like, I didn't really tell anybody, that many people about it at first, but then I kind of like, maybe like a week or so, I kind of started hitting at it on Instagram, and then I started contacting people like, yeah, I got a book coming out. And then like the day of, I broadcast like, it's available. And the next thing you know, it's like, people was like, yeah, I got it. I got it. I'm getting it. Or I'm getting it. It's like, people I contact were like, yeah, man, I appreciate you couldn't get my books. I already ordered it. I was like, it's just people like, it's just weird. It's like I contact somebody and I just tell them, hey man, I just came out of the book. They're like, all right, don't tell me that. I go buy it. It's like it's crazy. It's the support I was getting.
That's amazing, and that's the right energy we need all 2022. My sister Mimi says that's awesome. I want to make sure that we support the book. I can't wait to get it, because I can't wait to take a picture with it. and tag you on Instagram with it to make sure that people know that we support it and we about positivity, education, reading, creativity. Where can we get the book one more time for you, Mr. Kellen Parham?
Amazon.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, locks and brews, locks _ and _ brews, LOCS, like locks of my hair.
Yeah, got it. We got it.
I would definitely, I could send you the link.
Done deal. I want to make sure everybody supports a Lovers Truce from on Amazon.com from Mr. Kellen Parham. We're gonna support you. We're gonna make sure everybody supports you. I'm about to put this on YouTube this evening. Man, I just want to thank you again, Kellen, man. You know, this is the People's Podcast. It's your home, bro. It ain't anytime you doing something new, just let us know, man. We gonna stay connected.
I appreciate it. Oh, also, one last thing. Also, on my link tree, I was trying to create a book club, a Lovers Truce book club.
Okay,
so
okay.
It could be like a community that community that we build from the bottom up, where we could just talk about the book, or we could talk about whatever. People can ask me personal questions. They can ask me questions about the book, just whatever. So it's like a Discord. So it's also in the link that I just sent you.
Man, I love it, and we love it, man, and we can't wait to be a part of it and support it. And I can't wait to read all of the entire book. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Thank you again, sir.
All right, thanks.
Yes, sir. Let's make sure we get it. We're gonna promote it like crazy.